as men, as fathers, and as leaders. And I think you're 100% right on. We're missing the love part of it, because that's the human connection part of it. Because 9 times out of 10, when I ask a guy what does it mean to be a man, or what does it mean to be a father, one of the first things he says is provide, right? Provide and protect are usually number one and number two, right? And no point in the top three do they say love, nourish, nurture, care for. You know, that doesn't even come up till we get to like 7, where they can't think of anything else, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to love them too. And I think as a leader, you have to have some type of love, some type of empathy, some type of something, care for the people that you're leading, because it endears them to you. If you're just barking orders or giving commands, yeah, I'm gonna follow you because I have to. But as soon as I get a chance to buck the system, yo, I'm out, and you won't see me. I say this all the time. Is like one of the reasons now, even more so, that I'm really hard on this fatherhood thing, is because my kids are growing up, and as they get older, they start to experience the world more. They're outside of my house more than they used to be. Like and if I don't help other fathers be better men and better fathers, well, then my kids are going to go hang out with their kids, right? And if you're not doing your job as a dad, and your kid sucks, now my kid has to go interact with your sucky kid, and that, you know what I mean? So those are like, it's up to us to start in our household, building the family and the people and the environment that we want for our children. But then also we have to take it a step outside of that and kind of start to work on infecting our communities, infecting our cities and states, and you know, we expand and expand as we go out. But I want to go back to what you're saying about like killing off old versions of yourself. I like to say, like, if you think about your phone, or even the apps on your phone, right? There's always updates. Your phone is constantly updating, right? When it updates, it doesn't keep the old version of itself. Like, you don't have like I'm an Android guy, right? So I got a 22 plus, and I just got my father-in-law just got a new phone. He's got a 23, and I looked at his phone and looked at my phone. I'm like, damn, now I got to upgrade, you know, because there's a new version. And I think a lot of times we don't look at ourselves like that. Like we will hold on to the old iPhone, like the original iPhone. Like we got this old outdated version of ourselves that this is who I am, and this is but like, bro, times are changing. You're changing. Your family is changing. That's one thing that I think is really important. How can you not grow when you become a father to an infant, but now you're a father to a toddler, or a father to a preteen, or like, how are you not growing with them? How are you still the same father at 13 that you were at 3? That, it just doesn't make sense, right? So if you're not, like you mentioned earlier, doing the deep work on yourself, not improving yourself and trying to make yourself better, it just doesn't make sense. No, go for it. Yeah, put it out there, man. Share it. Yep. Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, get out of here, kid. Yeah. Mhm.
powerful thing that I've ever witnessed. And I'm like up there holding my wife's leg, and it was just like a rodeo, and it was amazing. We just brought this kid. We made this kid, and I knew I was the same person. I was already a changing man.
Yeah.
And yeah, now it's just become like, and maybe this is why like all my clients are all military. It's because it's like maybe I'm making up for that time when all those kids were born and I wasn't able to understand what they were going through. And now all these military guys, they love my leadership style, but now they're seeing that I took that leadership style and I refocused it on fatherhood, similar to kind of what you did. And so it's just, it's opening up different ways.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. 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 Unfortunately. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. I think like what I was saying about the upgrades and like your circle, staying with that phone analogy, like if you got an iPhone now, like it's hard. First of all, it's hard to find a regular USB like plug. It's like a C plug now, right? Like everybody has upgraded. So Cleveland is the old USB plug. You can still get in there every once in a while, and you get charged up with your boys. Like, cause I had the same thing. Like my neighborhood where I came from is treacherous, right? And so I go back in doses, right? But I can still fit in there, but that's not where I get recharged anymore, right? I get recharged in my neighborhood with the inner circle that I have now. That's what's building up my current hardware, right? With new software, I got to have new hardware. I can't keep going back to the same stuff. I can still, like I said, I don't cut anybody off, right? Well, let me take that back. There's some people I have cut off just for reasons that are necessary, right? But like my friends are still my friends. We just don't hang out like we used to hang out because we don't have the same things in common, right? Like I'm pursuing a different path, and it would be me dragging them along down that path, and they don't want to go. They'd be kicking and screaming. So like, okay, you just do your path. I'm gonna do my path, and if we cross at some point, it's high fives and handshakes and what's ups and all. But then there's people that, like, a few weeks ago I had a podcast episode where I talked about people come into your life for 4 different reasons. We talk about like the mathematics of fatherhood and manhood. Like, people add to your life, they subtract to your life, they multiply you, or they divide things that you have going on. And you have to be able to determine who that person is. Like, if that person's in your atmosphere and they're a subtractor, like they're taking away from what you're trying to build, you might have to, like, you know what I mean? You might have to put a little bit more distance on that person, or somebody that's going to divide you, right? Like I have some friends that were, and so we have to continue to move the needle forward and do things that are going to support our actual ambitions and goals. And for me, I want to be the best man I can be on a daily basis, not even comparing to yesterday, but just today. I want to do the best that I can today, because I know if I'm the best man I can be, it's really hard to be a good man and a bad father at the same time, right? The values don't line up, be a good man and a terrible dad. They don't really work together like that. So I know that if I continue to push myself to be a better man, I can always be a better father, better husband, better boss, better employee, whatever the title is, right? Like if I'm my foundation is good man, then whatever title I put on that, just like, sure, you're being consistent and that's a part of it. But if you're not intentionally consistent, then anything can happen, right? Just showing up. Like, if you aren't showing up, right, as a father, if your initial goal is just to start showing up and being present, right? If that's the goal, then showing up is enough. But then once you overcome that obstacle and you're showing up and you're present, now you need to be very intentional about what happens next. Because just showing up or just being in the room isn't the same as being active in the room, right? It's not the same as making sure, like you say, you have like that checklist of things. Is that present is the overarching thing, right? But then, okay, when I'm present, is my son going outside? Is he eating the right things? Am I getting my workout in? Am I showing him, like, through my actions, the type of person that I want him to be? Am I talking to him about the type of person that I want? Like, there's all these other parts that go into it, and I think we get to, oh man, I'm not present. Let me be present, and then we settle, right? And we're like, okay, I'm here. I was there every day. I went to the games. I did those things. But then there's so many other layers to it, and I think we have to realize is that we're not raising children. We're raising adults, right? Because at the end of it, that's who they're going to be. They're going to be an adult, and so if we aren't treating them or teaching them time appropriately the things that they need to know in order to be a successful and productive adult, then we're kind of leaving them in the dark, right? Because at some point they're going to be old enough to go out into this world and do the things that we, and as much as we claim to be all powerful and, like, I'm powerful men and all that, but we just don't have the tools to feel our emotions, to understand our emotions, to be emotionally aware, emotionally disciplined, to have self-regulation. And unless we learn those things, it's going to be really hard for us as leaders of a family of people, not employees, right? Not people who have to come to us, but of real living, breathing people that we care about. It's gonna be hard for us to lead them in a way that's good for them if we aren't understanding of our own emotions, right? Of our own feelings. If we don't have empathy, if we don't have social awareness, if we don't have some of those key components to emotional intelligence, it's hard to be a really solid leader, right? And not like, again, not a boss, not somebody who's dictating, but a leader where people are wanting to follow you, where your goals and their goals align. I like to say that parenting is a collaboration, right? Because I want my kids to be the best possible people they can be, and I think they want to be the best possible people they can be, and so we're working together to make that happen. I'm not like, I am, right? Because as an authority figure, I have to dictate some things and I have to tell them to do something because they don't know any better because they're kids. But we are working in concert together, right? Like it's more harmony than it is balance, right? We got to have a harmony between the two of us or the four of us and making sure that they become the best people and the best family and then the best individuals they could. If that's your patterning, if that's your programming, if that's what you grew up in, then it's hard to, one, if you're not self-aware, it's hard to step out of that and go, hey, maybe this doesn't work. Even if you as a child did not enjoy getting whoopings, like you didn't enjoy getting hit, like none of us did. I didn't enjoy it. It wasn't one of my favorite things. It wasn't. When I got in trouble, I got in trouble. It wasn't because I was looking to get in trouble. I wasn't trying to get a whooping. It was the aftermath of doing what I did. But I think, like, we know that, or not, some of us know that, and we still will be like, yeah, I'm beating my kids. I can't, like, why? Why are we doing that? Like, it didn't work for you. You were still doing stuff. Like, you still got in trouble. For people to be like, I'm gonna discipline my child with an iron fist, or spare the rod, spoil the child. Like, I get it. I understand it's a biblical reference, but if you think about it, if you actually look at what sheep shepherds do, they don't beat the sheep right away. Like, that's a last resort. Like, if I'm saving the sheep's life, then I'm gonna use the rod to save the sheep. Like, not like right away, right? I'm using the rod more often to guide the sheep away, to point the sheep in a direction, to deter them from eating something they shouldn't eat. I'm not just beating them, right? But we use that and we'll go, yeah, well, look at me. I'm not in jail. My mom beat me. I'm like, yeah, but you didn't have a good time. You guys got a tattered relationship now. Like, okay, I guess you could use that as an example. But if you know better, you should do better, right? And if there's a better way for you to handle it, then then why not? Why not even try to just try to explore the idea of handling it a different way, right? And then like commit to it for a little while. See what happens, right? See if that relationship grows. And if it doesn't and your kid just walks all over you for whatever reason, it's probably not because you're not beating them. It's probably because your relationship sucks with them. Just being honest, right? Like, and that's a hard pill to swallow, but they're not being disrespectful to you because you're not whooping them. They're being disrespectful for you because you're not showing them a level of respect. And which again goes back to you looking at you. What is it that you need to do to get better? Because ultimately you can't control anybody else, not even your kids, right? They're making decisions that are outside of your control. What you can control is who you are and what you do and the things that you are responsible for. And people are drawn to you. Like my kids aren't disrespectful to me because I'm smacking them around. Like they're not disrespectful to me because they respect me and who I am and how I love them and how I care for them. And they look at that and they go, man, my dad really loves me. It would suck for me to disappoint him, or it would suck for me to do something to make him mad. So I'm going to try to make sure that I do the right things. It's not because I threaten in their lives, right? Like I don't have to. I hope. I haven't got to that point yet. I hope I don't have to like threaten to beat somebody up in here, but you know, it's just I think if you can go about it a different way, then why not at least give it a shot? Why not at least give it a chance? I don't think that even as adults, right? We don't want people to beat us up because we did something wrong. Like people are up in arms about police brutality and things like that, but then we beating up kids. So we're showing them the way to discipline is to get hit. And then when they get adults, people can't hit you no more. Like what are you saying? Like what's your where is the disconnect? Like make it make sense for yeah. I think
it's sad.
I think a lot of guys. Well, two things. I mean, somebody commented about being a single father and struggling with mental health, and I don't want to let that go by. So if they're still on, if you know that you're struggling with mental health, then you should seek a mental health professional. Just like if you felt like you were struggling with your health, neither one of us, I don't know if you're qualified, but maybe, but I'm not. I'm going to say that I'm not qualified to help you with your mental health. I even the guys that I work with, that I coach, if somebody's struggling with an actual mental health issue, then you should probably see a professional, because like if I was having heart trouble, if I was having physical health issues, I would go see a doctor. I wouldn't ask somebody who has a heart to help me. And I'm not saying that you can't get help from coaches like myself or from coaches like us, where we can help you in that regard going forward. But I think if you feel as if you have a mental health issue, then you should seek mental health professionals to help you with that issue, because it's not something light to be kind of taken. It's your head, right? Like it connects to everything else. So if you feel like that's the case, then you should actively pursue something or someone that is qualified to do that. The same thing I would say if you were struggling to lose weight. I wouldn't say just walk into the gym and talk to people who are working out. You should probably seek somebody who has some expertise in that to actually help you fix that problem, or really guide you, because ultimately they're just going to give you tools, right? And they're going to help you solve the problem, not solve the problem for you. But you got to be ready for that. Second thing, I think a lot of guys are in relationship with their kids in the same way they're in relationship with the people at their job, right? They go to work. I know Tim from the job. Me and Tim work together. He's in the cubicle next to me. Sometimes we send emails to each other. We laugh and we joke, but we leave work and I don't talk to Tim anymore. I really don't know anything about Tim. I know Tim's married, but I don't know his wife's name. I don't know his kids' names. Like we don't have real interaction with them. We're just in the same place at the same time consistently. Right. And that's what like showing up in your house is. That's just the first part. Yeah, you got to show up at work, right? Just like you need to show up at home, but there's something beyond just showing up, right? Like getting to know the intimate details. Like me and my girls, when I get to pick them up from school, we have a full conversation, and I had to make that intentional, because if you ask them how was school today, they're going to give you the normal answer. They're going to say it was good. Right. And I'm like, yo, what does that mean? Right. What was the funniest thing you heard today? What was like the thing that challenged you? Was there something that you guys did in math? Like, let's have a deep conversation. And now they're like talking about friends and their friends, brothers and shit. Like I know everybody, right? Like I know all the intricate details. Like we have a real relationship because I know the things that they're interested in. They know the things that I'm interested in. I'm showing interest in the things that they're interested in. So they feel like they want to tell me. They can't wait to get in the car and be like, oh my God, Dad, guess what? Remember so-and-so said so-and-so? And I'm like, yeah, that's crazy. I can't believe that. What? Oh man, and we have like a real relationship. It's not like we just work in the house together, right? And we actually are really, really friends, but they're my kids. I'm using friends just as a reference for what I'm talking about. But like we have to have those type of depth conversations, those kind of in-depth relationships with the people that are in our house, so that if we're leaders, we can lead them effectively. Because if we don't know how to lead them. We don't know how to communicate with them. We don't know how to get them on board with the vision, right? We're just saying stuff and it's hopefully going in one ear and sticking, but it's probably coming out the other side, right? And so we have to take that relationship, and I'm glad that you got a whole chapter about being intentional in relationships, because you could probably go back and flesh that out and make a whole book out of it, because I don't think we're intentional enough in our relationships. I think we just take our relationships for granted. When you say I'm your father, we know I'm gonna be your father forever, and so it's oh, we'll be better when he grows up, right? And we hear that a lot. I hear that a lot with dads who have young children. Like, he's too young. I'm not really a good dad to a 2-year-old. I'm like, I don't even know what that means, sir. Like, I don't. You better figure it out. Like, you better figure out how to be a good dad. So, well, when he's older and he can talk and we can play and we'll go fishing and yeah, that's a great time. Those are going to be really, really, really valuable times. But if you don't figure it out now, you may not make it to going fishing, right? Because if you're not influential and impactful in those first 5 to 7 years, he's not going to want to go with you nowhere. Like, he's going to find other people that he values more than you. And so you have to try to figure out how to be along the way the best in those relationships, because they grow and they change. And if you're not involved when they grow and they change, that's where people just separate, right? We said we grew apart and we didn't grow together. Well, because I had a life and you had a life and our lives crossed paths, but they never were intertwined. And we have to think of our relationships with our kids that way, just like we think about our relationships with our wives or our significant other. It's got to be the same thing. We can't just be strangers passing in the night. If you're on here and you're watching a live where guys are talking about fatherhood, you're on the right track, right? You're already thinking the right way. You're already committing yourself to be a better father and a better man. That doesn't come without its own struggles, right? It doesn't come without its own obstacles, and those are going to be there. But if your goal is to be the better man, better father, one, you're going to have to start focusing on you, right? Making sure that you're the best you can be. And if that's the mental health thing, then that's the mental health thing. If that's getting coaching, then that's getting coaching. If that's listening to podcasts and watching videos, whatever it is, right? And then the outside noise of people thinking that moms are better parents than dads, I don't think it's a competition. I think your kids are blessed that they have two people who love them. I think they're blessed that they have one person that loves them. I think just whoever is there or present is going to have to be the one to kind of cover all the bases, unfortunately. But then you just like I tell thing, and what's funny, and I got into when I first got into this fatherhood thing, I got a lot of single mom, a lot of single mom, not clients because I didn't take them on, but a lot of conversations, like a lot, of just what do I do, how do I do that, like how do I parent my, mostly because they have sons. And my thing is the thing that I tell them is you don't have to do it alone, and you probably shouldn't. You know, wearing single parenthood as a badge, and I talk to my brother about this, wearing it as a badge is almost a detriment at times, because you don't allow your child to get a full experience of parenthood. So finding other resources, reaching out, finding programs in the community that can nurture that child along with you, that align with your goals and things that you want to that you want for them, is really important. Even if you're even in a 2-parent household, like my kids play sports and they act and they do a bunch of stuff, but I'm always vetting the people that they do stuff with, because I want whoever they're going to learn piano from to have some of the same values and beliefs. And not that I'm trying to make them only like really like one thing, but I don't want to send you for an hour with somebody who's going to be telling you something crazy. You know what I mean? And so as we branch out and we start to do these things, it's important that we find people that align with our vision. But it's okay to, as a single parent, allow for other people to help parent. in some regard. You know, like I said something like this the other day, and I don't know if I posted it yet, but it was a video talking about like a coach. Like if you have a good dad, like your coach, if you have a good coach, he's like a assistant dad, you know, because he's teaching you some of those same values. Like some of my football coaches, right? Like I would never call them necessarily father figures because to me they were just my coaches, but they did say some of the same things my dad was saying. They did do some of the same things that my father would have done. You know what I mean? And so it's okay to have some of those resources in your life to support you and your parenting. Otherwise, it's the lonely world, man. It's really hard to do this thing on your own. And so that's why I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're listening. I'm glad you're reaching out and you're asking questions, because a lot of us have those same questions. We're just afraid to ask. Man, oh, hey, before we go, and this is for everybody, but you too, as you're going on this date tonight, I want you to start thinking about something and call it like the rule of 7. Okay. So every 7 days, because your kid is young, you got to figure out how you do this because, you know, you're mobile or whatever, but figure out how you set up a support system. Every 7 days, you want to take your wife on a date. Could be a lunch date. You guys just go grab a coffee. It doesn't have to be anything big. It doesn't have to be a concert, but just you and her for like 30, 40 minutes, maybe an hour, just talking, right? Not at home. It has to be outside the house. And then as they get old, as your kid gets older and you guys start to do things. So every 7 days, you want to have a date. Every 7 every 7 weeks, you want to take like a night away. Just one night. Don't go crazy. Just one night. Just go stay the night at a hotel or something. You guys just together where you don't have to worry about coming home early or you know, putting the baby to bed or any of that stuff. You guys just go out and spend time. And then every 7 months, if it's possible, and again, you guys negotiate. These don't have to be hard 7s, right? But every 7 months, you guys go and take a more than one day trip, maybe 2-3 days, something like that, right? Where you guys go to Vegas for the weekend or whatever, something like that, right? Because I think one of the things we miss when we talk about fatherhood and we talk about manhood is that relationship with our wife and how important that is for our child to see, how important that is. Because I talk to a lot of dudes that are struggling through divorces, and if 50% of marriages are ending in divorce and we're not nurturing that relationship as well as our relationship with our children, then we're setting ourselves up for failure and later heartbreak and struggle and stress that we don't have to have. So just 7 7 7 7. All right, brother. I'll talk to you soon.